Welcome to our Broncos Mailbag Country, the time of the week and of the live show where we answer questions from Broncos fans to another major Broncos fan. My name is Moose, and we have got ourselves a gauntlet coming up this Sunday. You know what it is. Week 11, it's Chiefs Week. The very first Chiefs Week. The next time we play the Kansas City Chiefs will be Christmas Day, which, of course, I work. I'll be live for you, so make sure you tune in when we do that as well. But speaking of the Chiefs, this is the first time we see them this year, and all eyes are going to be on the Denver Broncos. There's a narrative going around right now that the Denver Broncos are frauds, and I absolutely hate that narrative. So, if you're like me and you think the Broncos are going to take the W, type your DENs right now in the comment section. I want to see where the real ones are. Give me your DENs. We're not doing the FKCs right now because it has KC in it. Instead, we're typing our DENs to show support. All right, let's jump into our very first question of the Broncos mailbag for Week 11. And Joey, we're starting with Danny Caudle. My guy Danny, what's going on? He says, who gets a touchdown first? Lil Jordan or Evan Ingram? I'm going to say Evan Ingram. I think Evan Ingram could have the possibility of a really good game this week. The Chiefs are notably terrible against covering the tight end. Lil Jordan, it's going to take him a game or two to get back into the swing of things, back at Mile High, but I am very glad he's back here after spending the 2025 season with the New York Football Giants. But it's a really good question, a very interesting question. I'm going to say Evan Ingram, though, if I wanted to get in there and, kind of throw my hat in the ring there for who scores first. If I had to guess who I actually think scores first in this game, I'm going to say R.J. Harvey. I think you're going to see a lot of him touching the ball this coming Sunday. Kai, the Broncos fan. What up? If the Broncos can beat the Eagles, who beat the Chiefs? We can do this. Yes, I do believe the Denver Broncos have a big-time shot to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, not just with this defense, but I think the offense, if it gets humming, there is not a team on this entire league or in this entire league that can go head-to-head with the Denver Broncos in both facets. When the Broncos offense is humming, we've seen a lot of times this year, it definitely hasn't. Let's go to Kenneth, take two. Moose, R.J. Harvey, total yards versus Kansas City. I'm going to say 56 on the ground, 39 through the air. So that would be 95 total yards against Kansas City, and I'm going to say he scores twice. 95 total yards and 2 scores against the Chiefs. I would love to see Jaleel McLaughlin get involved this Sunday. Same with Tyler Bidet. I think this running back by committee is going to be a very, very heavily utilized thing, considering J.K. Dobbins is most likely not playing. Thank you, Kenneth, for your comment. Pops, when we win, is KC done? Pretty much. I wouldn't say they are completely done, not mathematically speaking. They're not eliminated, but they'd be 5-5. And that's not a good spot to be in, considering we still have to play them again. And I believe they have to play the Chargers one more time, which is definitely no easy feat for them either. So we could sweep the Chiefs this year. And if the Chargers also sweep the Chiefs, that's another 3 losses on top. You could see a world in which Kansas City goes 9-8 or 10-7. And I think everybody would be happy with that for sure. Carson coming in with a $5 super chat. How do you feel about Sean Payton's play calling? Take the brakes off, let the offense and Bo run at full power, no more conservative play calls. I think 2 things can be true at the exact same time, Carson. I think Bo Nix can struggle a little bit with the down-the-field shots that Sean Payton allows him to take, but I also think Sean Payton doesn't let the reins off a little bit. Sometimes you just got to go ultra-aggressive with your play calling. And if Bo can't hit it, then Bo can't hit it. This is about the time to really test the waters. You're going up against a high-powered offense. Patrick Mahomes has big playmaking ability. We've seen that over the years. We know exactly what he's capable of. So in order to kind of let the leash off, you got to let the leash off. And if that means some of it looks a little shaky at times, you got to do it. You got to do it. So Carson, I do appreciate your question, but let's Let's see what Sean Payton's got dialed up. I really hope it's not 20 to 25 screens per game. Joey, go ahead and look over at your script there, and there should be some other stuff that we should be getting into here in just a little bit. But Carson, like I said, I appreciate your question as well. Eileen Ulick. Moose, did you hear about what Nick Wrong said about Jalen Hurts and Bo Nix? Yes, I did. That is a hilarious name, by the way. Eileen Ulick is so funny. Yes, I know what you're talking about. So Nick Wrong showed up on Colin Cowherd's podcast and talked a little bit about Jalen Hurts, but he also then went to his show and he talked about how much he absolutely hates Bo Nix. It wasn't a direct comparison, by the way. Like, he didn't compare Bo Nix to Jalen Hurts, but it was hilarious. It was hilarious because I don't know how someone can show so much bias in their entire take more than Nick Wright. He has gone out multiple times and says, I hate the Broncos. So clearly he's not going to give accurate analysis about Bo Nix. But speaking of, here's what he absolutely had to say about Bo. I'm telling you, America, the defense is awesome. I think Sean Payton designs an offense where players seem to run open and their quarterback cannot hit them. If you had an incredibly dynamic run game, you could get away with what is right now bottom 5 or bottom 6 quarterback production. And then in the same breath, on Colin's show, said this about Jalen Hurts. Hurts is almost in his own category of quarterback because it looks so pedestrian and so hard for such a long stretch. And then it seems like he just makes a play, and he's been so successful and such a winner that I have to say there's something weird about him. Hold on one second before you push that forward. Actually, that's fine. He said it looks so pedestrian and so painful, and then all of a sudden, he just turns it on. My guy, that's literally what Bo Nix has done the entire season. Has he not watched any games? Actually, he did admit that he watches the games, that he just absolutely hates Bo Nix. Because that's literally what Bo Nix has been. And also, to call Jalen Hurts pedestrian is utterly laughable. I wouldn't say that he's in the upper echelon of quarterbacks, but the numbers don't lie. The comparison right now between Jalen Hurts and Bo Nix, look at Jalen Hurts' numbers this year. He's in the MVP category. He's got 1,800 yards passing, 16 touchdowns, and 1 pick with a passer rating of 112. Like, what are we talking about? Nick Wright is so wrong all the time. And I do think he is a very good broadcaster. I think he's good at his job. Like, in order to spin a story and spin a narrative, I do think he's got talent. But it's clear and obvious that when it comes to the Denver Broncos, he should just stop talking. If you're not going to be objective about it, don't do it. If you want to shut Nick Wright up, if you want to shut Nick Wright up, type 10 down in the comment section. Let's get as many 10s as we can get going because Bo Nix is going to prove to everybody why he's the real deal against the Kansas City Chiefs, notably who Nick Wright is a huge fan of. Before we continue on with a couple more questions, we'll get into 2 or 3 more questions, Mr. JOD. We're going to talk to you about our friends over at Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every single day, but also as the weather gets even colder outside, the feeling of being right never gets old, especially with Prize Picks, where you can get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Prize Picks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. If you wanted to pick more on Josh Allen's passing yards, rushing yards, and touchdowns, you can now pick all of them in the exact same lineup only on Prize Picks. I made a lineup for Thursday Night Football. Breece Hall, the less on the rushing yards. Then I used the new stack feature for Drake May. I went more on the passing yards and more on the passing touchdowns. Yours can look like this, but it doesn't have to. All you have to do is download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It is good to be right. And all of that is going to be in the comments and description of today's video for you. Coach Chris, super fan of the show. Has Mims officially cleared concussion protocol? Yes, he has. He's going to play. He's going to play, and that's a good thing. The Broncos need all the weapons they can get. If J.K. Dobbins is out, you definitely need Marvin Mims to step up and be that deep threat for your wide receiving core. But the good news is you signed little Jordan Humphrey. He's back again in Mile High. So there should be a more dynamic version of the Broncos offense, considering that's going to take some of the plate off of Pat Bryant's ability to block. He'll be more featured in the passing game as well. Bree coming in. Who's your favorite Broncos player of all time? I've got a lot of them. Shannon Sharp, probably. John Elway, Steve Atwater, they're all amazing. If I had to go back a little bit further in time, Demaryius Thomas, like DT, was unbelievable. Let me go Sharp and then DT. Those are going to be my top two answers right there. I love Shannon Sharp. Come on, Skip. Skip. Come on, Skip. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question. I'll take Sharp and I'll take DT for my favorite Broncos of all time. Kenneth, our last question of the day. Pat Bryant and R.J. Harvey break out too. Yes, I'm very much hoping so. I think R.J. Harvey has the ability to have a really, really big game, not just in the air like he usually has been, but also on the ground as well. And Pat Bryant, this could be the game you see 6-7 receptions for the game, and who knows? Maybe he finds the end zone a couple of times, and the Michael Thomas comparisons come out even further. That's going to do it for us on today's mailbag edition for you, Broncos Country. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, like today's video, and as always, be cool.